shit. Hey. Woo, professional. 9:30 on Wednesdays, so it is time to do the Dynasty grind for Dynasty League football, where we look at weekly events and try to have some sort of Dynasty takeaway for what that might mean for good moves or bad moves, if you want to, for your Dynasty leagues. I'm joined again by Rush Fish, by Dynasty Outhouse, because I can't say his real name today, apparently. We try and answer every question that comes our way, much to Russ, who likes to go to bed early's chagrin. So feel free to drop comments in the whatever platform you're listening to. The box is in different places, but you can find it. I trust you. And we'll try to answer them as we go along. But mostly the idea is we talk about what just happened in week 9 and try and make weekly takes from a Dynasty perspective, but we'll see how it goes, I guess. Welcome back. 9:30 Wednesdays, almost always professionally prepared, obviously, and let's get to it. Russ, I started out this series like I'll just do an introduction to the show and then I'll do the thing. And week 10, I'm tired. And I really regret that decision because like every week we go live and like, oh shit, an introduction. I've got to things. What do we do? Okay, just click the button. Play the
handled
song.
it great. You cursed. You forgot your co-host's name.
I did. I did.
You at least remembered what show we're sort of doing and what channel we're sort of doing it on. But
I sort of. My weird tangent, as always. That's the way we start this show every time.
Oh yeah.
My son, he's in the academic team. That's a thing they have in America, right? And so for fun between school and the academics team, he looked me up and rate my professor. And the one takeaway he had was, "They say you curse, Dad." Like that was the whole thing. I was like, "Oh yeah, I do that." Oh no. So that's a recurrent problem apparently. How did your week 9 go, Russ?
But the question is, did the students mark that down as a negative? Or they were like,
interesting
question. Cool Professor Peter, he curses.
No, I don't think swearing makes it cool.
So I just kind of want to call you cool Professor Peter now.
Obviously. How'd your week 9 go?
It was so weird, man. Like this week, like I was watching, I met up with Rocky, my co-host on Trade Addicts, Josh from Fantasy Timeline. Hi, John. And this guy named Shane Manila, if you've ever heard of him.
Yeah, I heard of him once or twice.
And like we're sitting in a Buffalo Wild Wings, and just like every 3 seconds, the entire place was just like, "What? Who? What?" Like,
who is that?
Yeah, like Patrick Ricard scoring touchdowns and. It was just such a weird week, man. And Malik Turner, wide receiver 1, and like it was just. I want to forget this week ever happened. Like that's how my week went.
Fair enough. Khalil Herbert got replaced by some guy called David Montgomery again this week.
Yeah, so I was super shocked by that.
I was really disappointed because I wrote up the matchup as a negative rushing matchup, and then I spent the entire section talking about Khalil Herbert and how this might not be the week for this promising lower drafted rookie to bounce back. And then David Montgomery happened. And I was like, well, that makes all that irrelevant. But he did struggle against that defense. So I think that was kind of true. But yeah, it's good to see some players returning, as you said before the podcast or live stream here. We had some people coming back off injury. That's nice to see.
Yeah, but it was. I really thought Herbert earned a role.
Yeah, it's running back though. Teams can really make the decision at some point. Doesn't mean he can't get it back, but it does mean that hope that he has a future role is a little dinged. But I don't know. We at least know he's good when he gets a role now. I think that's good.
Yeah.
No. Okay.
That's as much as you get from me right now.
I'm the Dynasty wet blanket man. Is what I do. What was it? Sorry, Patrick. What rookies improved their stock more this week? Basically, anyone solidified an upward trend in your eyes? Yeah, I think Elijah Moore.
Yeah, it's the easy answer,
the opportunity, right? But not quite the points. Now the points are following. Unfortunately, the thing was with rookies, everyone in Dynasty is so well aware of it. I can't think of anyone deep like that no one's noticed. There's a lot of no one believes in Rashad Bateman anymore, but I think you'd still find his value pretty much the same if you tried to trade for him. I sent out a few offers, a few firsts for Rashad Bateman, new shiny thing for old shiny thing. So far, I haven't had anyone accepting it, but it's Elijah Moore killing it now in points as well as volume, and Rashad Bateman's been good ever since he got healthy. Like he's getting the volume.
Yeah, his target share just seems to keep going up. It's just that he hasn't done super much with it. But the fact, as someone who is not me on this show right now likes to say, wide receivers earn targets, and he's earning them, and that's pretty much what's important, right? Sooner or later they'll get their stuff together. Him and Lamar, they'll get a little better. He'll figure out how to work the league a little better, and he'll start producing, because let's face it, he is good at football. So if you can still find someone that is like, oh, well, Hollywood's still the number one there, then go get Bateman, because that's going to even out one day soon.
That's the thing, though. Hollywood is like wide receiver 20 in rankings for Dynasty. I just saw. Like, I think he's still a value, and everyone likes Bateman. And I think we should like both. So Brown might still be the buy. As far as rookie goes, I think I'm unjustifiably low on Jalen Waddle at this point. I think he's had a really good rookie season, and I'm not recognizing it well enough. I think Devontae Smith is the one I'm going to be most interested in this offseason, because this has been a good rookie season. And I think that where the team struggled in the receiving position a little bit here, I think people might forget how promising this season has been for him.
But it's also hard for that offense
he
to
might
get
be
worse.
the one that's actually easy to trade for. Yeah, you could say it that way. But yeah, Ronda Moore's interesting as hell. Like, his ADOT is basically a running back's. His expected points volume is still good, though, because they're getting him the ball, because he's phenomenal with the ball. So, yeah, that's, I guess, my summary of rookie report. I tell you what, worrying trends that I've seen from players I like. Dimey Brown, I'm really disappointed with how he's doing this year. It doesn't mean I hate him now, but I thought he would have earned a little bit more.
That offense, again, isn't doing much in general. Like, that offense doesn't do well. Sometimes Terry McLaurin does well.
It's just not good.
Like, I think the world would be a very different... Okay, that was way too much hyperbole. The Washington offense would be a very different thing if Fitzpatrick didn't.
We really put our hopes on Fitzpatrick being here, to be fair. Like, average QB play. Taylor Heineke has been... He's been a top 12 QB in 50% of his weeks, and a top... outside the top 20 in the other 50. It's been really, and it's mostly based on his rushing.
Right. And it has nothing to do with him being a good QB in the NFL. It's that's fantasy. That's what that is. So you can't judge much off of this offense.
Me leaning into some preseason bias as well. Terrence Marshall isn't surprising me by his inability to maintain that early first round role he was given. So he's probably better than I think, so he'll probably prove me wrong. So if you have watched him and love him, by all means, keep doing it. But like, I didn't expect him to be one of the ones from this class. And I'm sorry, this season so far is kind of seeming that's accurate so far. Same with, despite those few good games, and I know he's incurred a lot of injuries, Tony looks incredibly knife edgy. Like, I don't think he's going to be a consistent fantasy weapon, but there could be edges there to buy, wait for a good game, and then try and trade back at original cost or something.
You have to hope he makes this is what Hollywood Brown looked like in the beginning of his first season. In the beginning of Marquise Brown's rookie season, he didn't get a lot of targets. He was very streaky and just didn't look great. But then he put it together. Then the team started using him as a specific kind of wide receiver. I don't know if the Giants are smart enough to do that. They might just be, well, once Darius Slayton comes back, but I think Tony can get better. And man, there's a chance that entire Giants front office goes away. So so many things can change, but the fact is Tony has that draft capital. So like, he and Galladay are safe because the amount of money that's put into them, and that's really about and Saquon. and then everything else is up for grabs. So I think, if anything, Tony is a great asset on your fantasy football team because he's going to have a job. He will have spike weeks, but it's not someone you feel the need to start every week.
Yeah, I think Brown had slightly more, and we haven't seen the full season yet, to be fair, but like Brown was at like 18.5% target share and 11% expected points, if my memory serves. And Tony's still like under the thresholds I like to see. And I'm doubling down on the fact I didn't overly like his college profile. But, like you say, it's all kind of guessing, especially at this point, even through 9 weeks of a rookie season. It's been a weird year, too. Any running back, running back to me is such a product of next man up and volume. I don't like Elijah Mitchell. I didn't expect him to do too well last week. So the matchup, Michael Carter, same thing. He didn't get another 20 targets or nothing, but I think Michael Carter continues to be positive. Elijah Mitchell as well.
Yeah.
I think Khalil Herbert is as well. I think you said that I'm a little worried his role just basically disintegrated when Montgomery came back, but that can also just be the way the running back position works. I tell you what, I'm doing a draft with DLF. That November mark is still going for us. Chubb Hubbard was still on the board pretty late, and I feel like he's a good rookie running back who's done fine when the opportunities present itself and with a good profile. So he's probably a running back I've got my eye on more than some.
Yeah, for a rookie to like be solidified as the backup, especially because it's CMC. It's not like he's backing up some rando. He's solidified that when CMC goes out, and it seems like that's something we can expect to happen. Like Chubb is the guy, and that's maybe really good for a rookie.
And Ramondre Stevenson scored points this week. I thought he was a pretty good deeper running back, and he's able to take work when work is around, and that's basically where I'm at with most running backs, unless they hit that CMC type echelon. Pat Freiermuth, I guess, is a big rookie event from last week, and it's one of those things you wish you'd seen, but a bye got in the way, and so it didn't look pretty to me, so I ignored it. But his usage has consistently increased for the last 3 games, and then last week happened. So it's not just a story of 3 touchdowns of the last 2 weeks. I think he's significant. I think he's actually built himself a role, and that's good to see, especially for a rookie tight end. That's actually pretty impressive.
So how's the world gonna end when Freiermuth outproduces Kyle Pitts this year?
There you go. That's the way to think.
Yeah.
Pat the Unit Freiermuth, I believe is his name. But that was like 10 minutes on the first question. So Patrick, hopefully that answers some questions. Smith seems to be the most I'm keeping an eye on his value in my leagues. Like I think people might
also he's like
underrate his season so far.
He's the one that may have actually dropped, right?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Like everyone else seems very
like everyone's excited about the touchdowns from Freiermuth and Michael Carter getting that might be the one that's a little under the radar because it's been a minute since we saw something. Yeah, but it's still positive. What is the best unloading for Joe Mixon? I noticed this question. I didn't want to click on it because it's just I don't know. It's situation dependent. I'm assuming you're getting rid of them, so you're losing. So you've got like a market of 4 or 5 teams that might be still trying to compete. Ideally, you get one of the rookies we just mentioned, plus maybe a pick or something. But I don't know you get it. Depends on who is competing in your league and what their running back situation looks like. If they just lost Henry, they might be overeager to give you one of those younger players. Value-wise, he should be worth around 2 first-round picks, but I would try and translate that into some young players because I know I feel this time of year people get a little nervous to trade first-round picks. Do you feel that? Even when they're pushing, we're getting closer to the final, but also getting closer to that rookie draft. And so people get a little more hesitant to trade them. And so I start maybe looking at some of their younger players.
Yeah, plus also every year where rookies start doing well, it gets harder and harder to trade for picks. And that keeps screwing us over. Too many rookies keep doing too well right away, and that's not supposed to happen. Okay, so it's really funny. Like when I was trying to think of what Mixon's value is, right away I'm like, all right, well, more than a first and a second, 2 first, that feels like too much. Like a first and 2 seconds is what popped in my head because I can't say 2 firsts, but but so a first and 2 seconds is kind of where I'm landing at. And like Peter said, it is so league specific, especially with a player like Joe Mixon, because most people have feelings about Joe Mixon. It's not just like, oh look, there's Joe Mixon. There's Joe Mixon, the guy that never lived up to what he was, or there's Joe Mixon, that guy's good, and one day it's going to get put together. Like there's no middle ground on Joe Mixon. So you have to find the right team at the right place at the right time. But I wouldn't settle for just like a first valuation. I want a first plus. To me, I want, like you're saying, like if you can get Javonte in a second, I think
Whew.
that's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
You know, like, because I think by the end of this season or by the start of next season, Javonte is going to be worth more than Mixon anyway.
I honestly think he's going to be a top 12 dynasty running back by this offseason. Despite Melvin still chaining him to half his production this year, we're just too aware of young running backs get it. We know, you know?
Yeah. Spoiler alert for tomorrow's DLF trade show that's going to drop on the YouTube channel. Addison and I are pretty much of the fact that we think he's going to be top 7.
Yeah. I can see
because
that value-wise.
CMC and Barkley are going to age an injury out, and we are just going to keep pushing. Melvin Gordon's old. Melvin Gordon's going to leave. Javonte looks really good. If you look at the peripherals of what he's done when he gets the ball, it's really good. So it's just he's going to keep climbing. And if anything, it's just because everyone else is falling too.
I'm going to give the generic, because I keep coming down to this. And just for everyone in the chat, for a lot of questions, this is the answer for me, ultimately, with these generic, very reasonable questions. Without digging into your league, it's a little hard to give generic advice. So what I've been saying, and what I actually went and did, just so for my own, follow my own process, is make a list, tier it, the players you absolutely want in Dynasty, followed by the players you'll accept. Looking to next year, I think they'll score points, followed by young or old players you think are coming at value. Tier it however you want. Then go look at the teams in your league that might need Joe Mixon and see who's on it. Don't worry about what position or what value it is. Just try and accrue as many of those players in the highest and keep the list as short as possible. Like, that's the way I've been approaching it in my own leagues, and I found it the best answer for these type of questions. So you want to get rid of Joe Mixon, go make the players that you absolutely want on your team. And, you know, it's Chase, Jefferson, and Lamb for everyone, and most people aren't trading them. So who are the backups? Well, Marquez and Debo, a little undervalued. I still think they're good. And then go look at the teams in your league, or whatever the tight ends or quarterbacks or running backs are that you have on your list, and see who's on your list in those tiers who might be tradable. If that makes sense, it does to me. I think that's the best way of going about finding something you'll be happy with for Joe Mixon, and maybe getting something done, because then you're looking at what you want on their roster and why they might want Joe Mixon for it, and hopefully you're creating a better trade that way. But that's how I go.
It's funny, like you make these wonderful points, and you're just like, nah, you know, maybe did that make sense? I don't think that made sense. No, you know, it just fuck it. You forget everything I just said. But no, stop it. Stop it, Peter. You're smart. You're good at this. Just let it be. Accept it.
I end up sounding like that boring teacher who's like, I've given you homework. Go make a list. No one wants to hear that. They want to hear go trade for CeeDee Lamb, but you won't get it done. And then later, hopefully you reflect on that and realize I hadn't given you any good information. So I don't know. I'll be the boring teacher.
So you're saying you're good. Okay, good. All right, cool.
What boring, at least.
No, you said it. No, too bad. No, you said you were good. Too late. It's too late. You can't take it back.
FF Lefty, ready for the takes. We are ready to spit them. Yes, if you can get that, that's very
absolutely fair. Yeah. That is that's good value.
Thoughts on sending a 2023 first for CEH and a 2020 second? Is CEH worth the gamble? I think he's worth the gamble. 2023 picks wouldn't be where I'd start, though. Those are already the same value as 2022 picks and have longer to increase. So I would start with your 2022 picks. I know maybe you don't have them available, but I would put a premium on those 23 picks, because whether it's true or not, I think we are going to value them more by the time the 2022 draft comes. I think it's another 2020 class. Everyone's waiting for next year. Yeah. And so those picks specifically might have even more value by the time this year's draft comes along. So trading them now, I try and find other ways. Is CEH worth a gamble? Yeah, look, I don't I'm not projecting he becomes a Derrick Henry level scorer next year, but it's pretty hard to get a good usable running back for a single first, which is essentially what this trade looks like to me. And everyone hates CEH right now. So in that way, he's worth the gamble. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, and I like the process of getting the second.
Yeah, just having thrown. Yeah, that's very good.
Because that makes it. It definitely cuts the sting of the price by just dropping 12 picks ish.
Yeah, and they'll probably dismiss it, like, and a second, sure, whatever. But it really does help out your side a little bit. Yeah, that's a smart move. Have an offer my way for Burrow, Pittman, and a second, third, and commit for my Swift and Mac.
Yep.
Superflex, yeah.
Burrow over Mac, Pittman, and I like wide receivers. So Pittman, a second and a third, and Komet for Swift. I mean, that's not perfect, but I am all on the Pittman train, man. Like I'm there, so I would absolutely do this. Plus, I really have no faith in Mac ever being good. Like, no, that's like very good. Like, he's good, and he'll be fine for fantasy. He'll be a great QB20, but Burrow has the ability to be a top 5 quarterback, right? Especially in the offense they've built around him. So I broke Peter, everybody. I'm sorry. So yes, absolutely. I would do this pretty easily. I mean, if you wanted to, I don't know, like make that in 2 seconds instead of a second and a third, if that makes you feel better. But I don't think I let that hold the deal down. I really just Burrow and Pittman are the not two better players because Swift is a top 3 running back at this point, but Pittman scoring points, and that's not going to change, so I'm all for that.
Sorry, I tried to breathe coffee for a minute, and I think it was going a little too far on the stimulant train.
Don't snort your coffee, Peter. That's not what you got to do.
Just drink it from now on. I know Pittman's value, like Cooper Adams, DLF contributor, just shared a site with me called Keep Trade Cut, which is meant to create dynasty ranks essentially from the community. And it was pretty interesting to look at. I recommend taking a gander. But Pittman was wide receiver 10 overall.
What?
And like Marcus Brown is wide receiver 20. I just think Pittman's value is so hyped up right now. I kind of like trading him away if I can get that.
I don't see that value in this trade though.
No, that's what I was gonna say. Burrow kind of evens that out nicely. And Swift is the difference-making player here, but his value as a running back is going to be squiffy from here on till next season. It's only next season he's going to be squiffy. It's a new word I just invented. You like it?
I love it.
There you go. It's going to be a little less certain because unless you're competing right now, you don't really care about running back. And in the off-season, running back value is going to drop a little bit. And it's really only going to be when we need to start running backs again that Swift will be like, oh, wow, a top 8 running back. That's pretty cool. And so, especially if you're not playing for right now, Swift probably isn't who I'd target. And so, yeah, I guess I just keep the Burrow side. I think if you're competing,
I think he's getting the Burrow side. So he said Swift and Mac.
If you're not competing, then I would trade away Swift right now because I think he's a diminishing asset for a little while.
Oh, man. So I pulled up DLF ADP, which is still October.
Yeah, it still is October, isn't it?
Michael Pittman was the wide receiver 35.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Okay, hold on. Now I need to see, because I think I did this every time last week, but I need to see where the hell this guy went in that. Oh, man, I lost the link. So keep talking, and I'll find it. I need to find out where the club,
Manuel. I warn you, it's a dark, lonely road. Not really. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of us here with you, but, I mean, it does get addictive.
Just don't expect us to know what's going on.
I know one other person in real life that plays fantasy football, and he works at the hardware store, and I saw him today and was like, how's your team doing? I was like, oh, man, I have some dark secrets to share to you. Which one? Because he plays in one league, and I got like a lot. And so your first leads on to your next 10. So just to warn you there. But welcome in, man. Join the club. We're happy to have you. Patrick Ann. So Bateman and Waddle worth, yes, they're worth easily a first. If you can trade for either one for a single first, yes. They've increased in value and they cost a first at the start of the season. So just by rote, they're already worth more than a first. In a Superflex league, even, yeah. Good note, though, because in a Superflex league, players do drop a little bit, but I definitely think Waddle and Bateman have earned firm first-round value plus.
So a week ago,
mhm.
which is 7 days. Yes, got it. Michael Pittman was drafted as the wide receiver 24.
You get all the hot takes here. A week is exactly 7 days.
I counted. It's wide receiver 24. If that's his, again, super small sample size. This is one mock draft, one quarterback. He went at the 506 as the wide receiver 23. I mean, that's low. If that's where your league has him, I say go trade for him.
Yeah, I don't think they do, but definitely. I made a trade, received Kyler Murray. Good. I gave up Miles Sanders and I got my franchise quarterback. Yes, absolute.
I'm guessing that's a quarterback. Yes. Kyler's a difference maker. Miles Sanders is not.
But yeah,
I'm absolutely fine with that.
Speaking of that list, like he's one of the 3 QBs I put that I would target. Like there's someone I think make a difference on my squad. So I like it. Miles Sanders is fine. I'm not panicked on him, but I think we've seen the upside, Better rest of season. Clyde Edwards-Helaire or Fournette? I'm going to have to ask you, when's Clyde Edwards-Helaire meant to play again? I don't know.
Next week.
He's coming back next week?
Supposed to be, but,
Well, here's the difficult thing about the Chiefs. They seem to need to run more, and that's from, I always forget his name, but his Twitter handle is Context Matters. He was talking about how many pass defenders in the box Mahomes is facing on a neutral game script. I got to got to start remembering his name because he puts out some really useful things. He does a utilization report. Dwayne McFarland. Works for PFF. So the team seems to need to rush more because they're being so well defended in pass game because they've got Pat Mahomes. So that's what you do. Will the team do that? And therefore that means a higher ceiling for CEH? I don't know, but this is what I was basing the last comment on CEH on as well. It's interesting that they might, especially on that team, start putting more value into the rushing game for someone like Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Fournette is an above-average talent, will continue to get the majority of workload in that very successful team right now. So it's kind of a toss-up. I think dynasty-wise, CEH just because of youth, I guess. But on the spot, I probably want to start Fournette week over week right now.
Yes, that to me is pretty easily Fournette.
It seems like something like next week, you're like, I don't know, Jack. And probably, but just based on what's happened so far, I have to go with Fournette. If you hate it, by all means, because I do think it's interesting the team might have to start rushing for more. I just don't trust coaches to make decisions,
Yeah, that's also a very fair point, yeah.
Flustein, welcome back, man. I remember your name. You've been here quite a few times. Appreciate it. Bateman and Waddle together for a first. Yes, but okay. Yeah, both individually are worth a first each plus.
Yeah.
Just to clarify that, but fair point. What is Pitman? Good. That's a good question. What is Pitman? Mineral, rock?
That's a little too deep for me. I can't handle that right now.
Luckily, there's one more game to sell high or the real deal. And I think
real deal.
I don't think he's a top 12 wide receiver, which he is right now. I think he's a good wide receiver. I have to take the L. He's just fully earned a role. And he's going to do that in the NFL. I just don't see this level of ceiling consistently throughout his future. I think he's more of a what I call a top 24 wide receiver, which is very usable, very good, better than most running back twos even. And his career is going to be long, so he's very valuable. Taking the L, but like top 12 value, no. Hopefully that puts some context on my opinion on the context. Yeah, that's where I'm at. And Rush Fisher believes he's the best wide receiver ever. Open 24 hours, 10-team Superflex, Dynasty, 4 PPR, 1.5 tight end premium, does not matter. Should I trade my CEH for Chase Edmonds, Dan Arnold, and probably a late first? The first makes it interesting, but mostly no.
Especially with Edmonds missing like 4 or 5 no, because I mean, even though they do their points differently, CEH and Edmonds are In 10 teams, no. The first isn't nearly as exciting.
It makes it somewhat tempting, but no, I would probably at least counter that, remove some of those players, and go to a better.
And the
player
0.5
role.
premium isn't going to help Arnold enough to really super matter. So I wouldn't really. A little, yeah, but
no, it doesn't help at all. I meant Waddle for a first or Bateman for a first. In that case, if the case wasn't earlier, you mean which one? Then I prefer Bateman still.
I think Waddle is worth more than Bateman.
Yes.
But if you like one more than the other, I don't think anyone's going to be upset either way. I think they're both. I don't think you can get either of them for a first. I think
it's a plus. You need the plus.
Yeah, you definitely need something. But if you can get either of them for a first, just be happy you got either of them for a first.
Like if you happen to have Tony on your squad and you throw him in a first for one of those, you're probably going to get him because there is upside in Tony and people still like him. But it's a significant plus is the problem here. It doesn't measure as exactly another pick, but that's kind of where we're at. If I get to choose and it's the same price for both, I would take Bateman. But Waddle has done more to prove it to this point. So if you disagree, you're very justified in doing so. But I believe my rookie profile is a little bit, and while Waddle is impressing on the upside of what his rookie profile looked like, I still think Bateman's is higher. John Sharkey. Sharkey? Am I saying that right?
Looks like it.
Cool. I don't read well. I got a 2022 second and a fourth for Chark. A good value?
Yes.
Yeah,
very much so. The 201 is a great get for Chark at this point.
Yeah, it's down. If you're going to sell him, that's about what you should expect, I would say. How to approach having 10 first 3 years. Okay.
Good for you.
Retire the league. I don't know. Just take best players available. Yes. Don't draft for need. Take the players that you think are best.
Draft for value, trade for need.
Yep. What does team need come into play?
It doesn't.
Not at all. You have to fill out certain spots, but I mean, you get the players you think are going to have the most production and best value, and then you work with that value to try and get your team needs. Like Russ said it in a heuristic there. That's basically where I'm at. It is interesting right now.
By the way, don't draft them all.
If it's a super flex, I am starting to wonder about putting quarterbacks purely above wide receivers and running backs because they're quarterbacks, especially if you have 10 of the suckers. Because I think we're seeing a sliding off of the expectation we should have for rookie quarterbacks because we just had so many good ones, and it just made me. But that's neither here nor there. I'm just
we've put top tier quarterbacks above everyone else, but even like this year, they were spread out. A
little bit like round. Lawrence slightly. If we had Lawrence, maybe I'm just calling myself out. I would have put Lawrence, Wilson, all those quarterbacks above Chase and Najee because quarterback and superflex. And I think I have to do more quarterback evaluation than I want to because that was just slightly too much.
Yeah. Well, just listen to other people's evaluations because I can't do my own. But fair. Like it was usually top 3 were quarterbacks. Then after that came the Najee, Pitts, and Chase. And then it was up to other people when they wanted to take the rest of the quarterbacks. But Mac and Wilson usually went 8 to 10
towards the end of the round.
We're not just saying, all right, quarterback, you go, which is good.
I have done, which is what I'm correcting. I probably shouldn't. Relating that to the question, Superflex and 2QB slightly means you lean team need, but only in the sense of quarterback. But don't do it full out. Like Briss is saying, don't go crazy for it. Not Mac over Chase, for example. Love you guys. Love you too, J Mike. This is J Mike Check from the Open Bar Podcast. Most wonderful man in the world.
Yes.
In case you need to follow someone today, he's someone you do. Jacob 12 team Superflex. Oh, that's from the trade question. It doesn't change. Draft the best players, or who you think are the best players. Don't worry about your team.
Don't think. Just draft the best players. That's the right strategy.
Squiffle. Well, that's the thing. I made it so, however I happen to misspell it, it gets to be the correct answer. I see. That's a smart thing about making.
I was going to go with the first one, IFFY, Squiffy.
I don't want to lock myself into a spelling, so I'll get it wrong.
Yeah, but then you're gonna get like the GIF or GIF argument, and do you really want to be part of that? Yeah, you do want to be part of that. Never mind. Yeah, okay, keep going. You do. That's a good dream.
Young World 81, 12-team full PPR dynasty. Lamar, Lance, CMC, Mixon, Gaskin, Javonte, AJ, AB, interesting. Ayuk, guessing. Landry, Diggs, Allen Robinson, Saint Arnold. Anyway, Faramuth. Okay, it's pretty old.
I wonder like who autocorrected to Saint. I can't figure it out.
Dan, I guess. I don't know. Where do you need to improve? Well, if you're competing, your running backs need improving.
CMC, Mixon, and Javonte, I think you're fine. I want more solid wide receivers. I mean, you have. Okay. I'm guessing AJ is AJ Brown. Antonio Brown. There's nothing about him coming back yet, which worries me. Ayuk, you're not going to feel safe. Landry has 0 ceiling. Diggs. We hope he's going to turn back into Diggs, but he hasn't yet. A-Rob is trash. So to me, you need to work on that wide receiver core.
I think I forgot CMC came back. That's a fair point. CMC, Gaskin, Javonte make fine. He'll probably make a running back 2 out of that. I don't know. I just feel like that running back 2 is a little less certain.
Also in my leagues, you don't need to start 2. You don't have to start 1. So only having 2 decent running backs is more than enough. So I guess that's also a little bit needs to be come into play. But even still, I would feel completely okay in a start 2 running back only having CMC, Mixon, and Javonte. And if someone gets hurt, just figure it out as you go.
Tell you what, you could improve by getting Marcus Brown or Debo's a little banged up, but still probably Debo. They're both undervalued, scoring points, and they'll still score points next year, even though the value is not going to rise on them. So those will be 2 ways. One way to clearly improve this team, and probably the easiest path, is either your quarterback 2, just in case. But honestly, tight end. I like Faramuth, but I'm not sure how consistent the production is going to be this year. Team's a little rocky. He's a rookie. And there are a lot of consistent tight ends right now.
He just put up a really good game. So if you could sell Freiermuth and Ayuk and upgrade it at a wide receiver and just ride Arnold, who's been, I think he's the second most tight end targets in the past like 3 games or something weird like that. So
yeah, that's the way. I also thought you can just definitely improve your points per game by getting Gesicki, for example, who's not hard to get in Dynasty. You're definitely improving a little bit for a little more steady week to week. You don't have to give up too much to get him. And you've definitely improved your team slightly. Just throwing the thought out there. That might be one area. Like, it depends where Gesicki is, though, in your league. Should I trade Mike Williams? Is he worth 2 seconds? He's worth, yes. He should be worth more than that. And yes, I would, unfortunately. I think he might have a good game this week, though. So, maybe wait for the next good game. His expected points, his volume increased this week after having 2 down weeks. And so I think that 3-week stretch is a little exaggerated. And another good game would just make this trade wheels move more smoothly. I definitely think he's worth more than 2 seconds even right now, though.
You don't just magically go
probably about to blow up.
Oh, yeah. You don't just magically go from 11 targets to 5 targets for no reason whatsoever. He had a knee injury, and it might still be bugging him. The corners didn't magically learn how to deal with size and speed. That didn't just change. Maybe he's a little hobbled, and that's what the issue is. The offense didn't change. He didn't change. Well,
his role did shift more out further down the field, which is what he's done more traditionally. But I think overall we're on a similar page. His value should improve from here. He's going to get more targets again. He's a good player. So it might be easier to at least trade him later. And I definitely think he's worth more than 2 seconds. What's the reasonable asking price for Derrick Henry? I'm looking at the moon. I know he's injured now, but dang.
I traded Derrick Henry for Darrell Henderson, and I felt great about it.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Why? Explain that one. Like you think he's dead next year? Or?
I want to win the championship.
Well, that's fair, but I mean...
that's really all it is. Here's the thing. Man, just everybody go watch the trade show tomorrow, even though I'm about to ruin all of it.
That's right.
Derrick Henry's a decent buy right now because people are willing to... we screamed at the top of our lungs last week that Darrell Henderson was worth a first, which means I sold Henry for one single first.
Yeah.
Even if he comes back as a solid RB2 next year, you feel great only spending a first for him. But also, he's going to come back this football season, maybe not this fantasy season, but this football season. If he comes back and does his Derrick Henry and the winter stuff, his value is going to go up again, in which case you made a good investment because you'll be able to reap the benefits before next season. So what if I'm selling Derrick Henry and it's chances are you're competing because you had Derrick Henry on your team? Worry more about points than value. That's the only thing I could really say right now.
I would definitely agree with that. I just think if you have Henry, his value should be more than that. And it will be because I don't think the talent goes anywhere. It will at least next year when he starts doing it again.
Well, see, that's the thing. You're gonna have to hope he does it again because
he will.
The thing we said about the things we loved about Henry, where he's a gigantic, ridiculous human being, and he was always able to handle the 400 touches. He never got hurt. He got hurt. So there's a decent chance this will never leave the collective minds of our community, and he's probably outside of the top 10 in this offseason.
If you can't get more than a first for him and you're not competing, I'd probably hold. But Russ is better at guessing at value here.
No, you're absolutely right. There are better times to sell than now if you're not competing, why did you still have Derrick Henry on your team if you're not competing?
And if you are competing, Darrell Henderson, I think James Robinson's still in that conversation because both of, at least he doesn't have Cam Akers
the same value and have the same problem coming.
I think Travis Etienne is a little less scary than Cam Akers. Cordero Patterson, you could get stuff thrown on top of Cordero Patterson.
You can get Darrell Henderson thrown on top of Cordero Patterson at this point,
and he's scoring the same points per game if he's running back eligible. And worth investigating where they're at in your league. But those are the names that come to mind. As a retooling team, I love that term. Actually, it's better than building. I don't care.
Well, it's different than rebuilding. Yes. Okay. Are you tired? Really? Me? Keep reading. You know what?
I would love to. I have Mike Williams and James Robinson. Should I trade them, and what are they worth in terms of picks? James Robinson's worth a single first, and it's way too low, and you probably won't get that for him. Mike Williams, apparently, for some people, the value line is around 2 seconds. I think it should be significantly more than that, like a first plus something. I think that's where I'm at. They're both worth a first. I would want pluses on both of them. I don't think you're gonna get it from most of the people, except me, maybe. Differences?
Yeah, I'm kind of there with you. The thing is, if you're retooling, you still want to score points like right away next year, and I think both of these guys do that. It really depends on what the competing teams in your league are doing right now. If you have the Derrick Henry owner who's willing to do that J-Rob for Derrick Henry swap, you do that. Or if they have picks because they traded for them and you can get a decent first rounder for Robinson, I would probably do that because I think you either can draft someone, better is the wrong word, but you could probably flip that into someone that's more fitting for your team that's at least a little safer. So I feel good about that. Mike Williams, I hold on to. There's until he has good games and you can get the real value for him, no one's really going to jump and pay the right price for him. And he's still going to be the same player next year. So I don't think that'll change at all. So there's no rush to move Mike Williams.
If I can get a first for him, I'd trade him. If not, I would hold him. I'm more tempted to sell Mike Williams than James Robinson. Sorry, I understand. I traded 2 first picks in 2022, one early, one late for DK Metcalf, I assume, and Darnold. Condolences.
Brilliant.
What do you guys think?
2 firsts for DK is a great price.
Yeah, I was going to say, without Darnold, that'd be pretty good. He's going to be a top 5 dynasty wide receiver this offseason. His points are up there, 18 points a game or so. Yeah.
And that's great. With a couple of Geno games. Yeah.
Made the trade just now, got rid of Mixon. Oh, Congrats. And a second for Jeff Wilson, Dimey Brown, and 2022 firsts.
Good for
Okay.
you.
Yeah, I think the value is definitely there. You really have my eyebrows hitting the ceiling there till I got to the end. But yeah, I think 2 first
Yeah,
for
way
Mixon.
to bury the lead on this one.
Yeah. And that's fair. I think you both did fine there. No one ripped anyone off. And Jeff Wilson, who knows? Yeah, you can come back. And Dimey Brown, I'm in a holding pattern. I'm a little disappointed so far, but
it'll
it's
be
fine.
great if Jeff Wilson could have one of those 3 touchdown games and you can go get a second for him.
Oh, hell yeah. Hey, guys, just wanted to say I really enjoy the show. Appreciate that, Jason Brehorst. Sorry, I'm terrible with names, man. It's not your fault.
Breathurst?
See, he's
Maybe?
good. I appreciate the
I'm
time and
making it up.
energy you put into it. We actually, believe it or not, we do. I really do enjoy getting to talk to Russ and you guys every week, as casual as I like to play it. So I appreciate you checking it out, Jason. I really do. Appreciate the advice. Keep it up, fellas. No problem, Brian. Remember, it is just advice, though. It's your team. If you don't like it, you just always go with your gut because it's more fun. That's
Listen to Peter.
one thing I always want to say. No, have
always
fun.
do what he
man.
does.
Have
Always
fun.
do what he
Unless you've
says.
got like hundreds of dollars riding on it, in which
Oh
case,
God, don't listen to me. Don't listen to me then. Don't listen to me then.
Definitely don't even take it as advice.
No.
We're just making noises at you at this point. Flustine, since everyone's hot on the Pitman, hey, I like that. What should we offer to get him? Oh, good question. I think a first gets him right now based on the questions we're getting and the last 3 games. And I think if you like him, it's a really good time to buy him. And
if you can get him for a first and a second, then that's awesome. The problem is you have to, again, everything is very league dependent. I have one league where I'm rebuilding, and this one jerk that has Michael Pittman on his team, A, also likes Michael Pittman, but B, also knows how much I like Michael Pittman, so I can't get him for less than 2 firsts, and I'm not there yet. I won't pay it.
See,
I'm not ready for that, but I think there's a chance his value gets there.
I completely agree on the value. It's just that for me, I've got players I want to see if I can get first before I'd ever get to Pittman. And it starts with Marcus Brown, Deebo Samuels, DeAndre Hopkins. He's getting old. Tyler Lockett, Mike Evans, Adam Thielen, Amari Cooper, Keenan Allen. Not Antonio Brown, but I do like him. Cooper Kupp, I couldn't get him for that. Julio Jones, not for a first. So that's the list. I would try for all those players, and I'm pretty sure one of them moves for a first before I get to Pittman. That's my only hesitation on it. I have other players who prefer that price, but it's a very fair price if you like. Price, cost, I really have to improve my vocabulary, dude. Tim Shady, I just traded, by the way, Trade Addicts guy, just get on your show for a second. I traded a first and James O'Shaughnessy. I just threw him in just maybe because it would help for Tim Patrick. And I got to tell you, it felt great. I don't think it means anything, but I like rostering Tim Patrick. And for a third, I was like, sorry, I was really excited about that one. It was from Cal.
I know you were.
Cal, it was like, yeah. Okay.
It was in the DLF league, so you can brag about it here.
That's true. I cannot not brag about it if they're not in the DLF league. That wasn't a brag, just so much. Yeah,
contractually.
It was perfectly fine for him to get that value of time. Not even I think he undersold or anything.
No, but you got Tim Patrick, and that's great.
That's just exciting
because you love that guy.
I do. Tim Shady. So remember my question last week about Mike Williams? Yes. Is he worth playing this week?
Yes.
It depends on who else you have. That's always the question with the start sit.
If the answer is Williams or Sutton, the answer is Williams.
Okay. I think Mike Williams could have a very good game this week. It really does depend who else you're rostering. In terms of, let me look. I do projections and stuff, right? So I got to check myself.
Why?
Jared Judy really ran away with the volume last week when he was on the same team with Sutton. So I think that probably does put it in the Williams.
That's really all it is. From the second that Judy came back, Sutton's seen like 3 targets. So I'm pretty scared.
Consistent. It's just Tim Patrick and Jerry Judy balling out. Who am I looking at? Sutton. I can't contradict the ranks, man. Yeah, it's Mike Williams. It's Mike Williams over Sutton if he's your only other option. But it really does matter who else you got in your team. Like if you got freaking I know. Sitting below them and you're just not mentioning it. I can't be held responsible. As a contender, what would you be willing to pay to acquire Patterson? Good
12
question.
team, half PPR, 1 quarterback. Honestly, I'll send a first in a 1 quarterback league.
I don't think you have to. Yes, I would be, but
if multiple contenders are vying for him, Hendy already got sold and trying to box them out while not totally overpay. Send a first and it'll get it done.
Send a first.
I do that pretty easily, especially when there's multiple people going. Because most people probably won't be willing to, and you should.
Patterson's outscoring Henderson right now, and it should continue outside of injury. So yeah, I would send the first if that got it done. Yeah, that's it. Is Jalen Hurts a keeper or sell in Dynasty? Again, it's cost. I'm higher on him the most.
I like the player for fantasy, but his outlook, there's no security in his job. I can't trust it. So honestly, if I get top 20 quarterback prices on him, which is first and a second, 2 firsts if you're lucky, I take it and go. Take it and run.
No, I don't think his job's as secure, but in general, that's a sensible advice. Yeah. How doomed is DJ Moore as a season? Pretty doomed.
Pretty doomed.
Pretty doomed. Don't give up on him. Don't sell him for his value.
No, yeah. No, not at all.
But he's probably a start most weeks. Most top 24 wide receivers are, and that's probably where he's going to rank a lot of those weeks. So it's doomed, but probably still rolling him out there a lot of weeks. Depending on what your squad looks like. James Sharkey, James Conner value, 2 seconds plus. I would be, if I had James Conner and I wasn't competing, I'd be really excited to get 2 seconds for him. And yes, that is just a spit in the face to his production, because that's what we do with running backs and value. It's
super touchdown based, except for the next few games coming up where Edmonds isn't playing. But yeah, no, I think we talked about this, or someone somewhere talked about this with me, and I don't remember who, because I'm on too many freaking shows these days. But 1 second doesn't feel like enough. 2 seconds, like, I feel like you dance, because I don't think anyone's sending a first. So
yeah, and again, to go back to my thing, I go back to my chart, I see who I want to go get, and the first thing I do, instead of trying to just trade him for 2 seconds, is I go trade it. I go add to him and try and get Devontae Smith. That's what I try and do. You can't possibly add enough to James Conner to go get like Lamb and Jefferson. It's just going to be too big of a package deal. But if I can add a first to James Conner and go get, and I'm not competing, a Devontae Smith or Rashad Bateman, that's my first move. As far as his value goes, and he's worth more that way, you can get a better deal done. But yeah, his value is probably 2 seconds ish to a competing team. Patrick, help. I just calling him Patrick. Thank you. I can't say. I can't do French. I know you're not French, probably do, but
at all. Oh no, me, him, maybe.
No, your name. It's got a French ending, at least that's what it hits to in my head, and it's why I failed out of French, man. One of the many reasons. Not your fault, mine. Sorry. Would you trade Pittman for Waddle? Yes.
No.
There you go.
Same position, same tier. I hate it.
More added to. I think it's even. You've got age on one side, production on the other. I think it's fairly even. Same position trades kind of suck, but yeah.
Yep. That's all it comes down to. You.
The great era rebuilding 5 firsts in 2022. We got to stop telling people to trade first, Jeez. Man. Everyone's just piling up the first. 6 and 23, the better class, at least the higher value class. We don't know yet, but yeah. At what point do I make trades with these picks and keep a few? It's all about the trade, man, not the timing. Don't worry about if I'm doing it at the right time. It's about what offers you get or someone's realistically interested in at any moment. But you should always be looking. Like right now, we've just listed a bunch of players we'd be interested in adding in Dynasty at value. So you make your list and you send an offer. And if they say no, that's fine. But it's about the offer, not the timing.
Yeah, I mean, there's the easy thing we could say is the closer you get to the draft, the more the pick is worth. So maybe you wait a little bit.
But it's not always true. If you could get it now, I'd do it now.
Exactly, 1000%. Everything Peter said was absolutely true. You know, it's about the trade you're that's in front of you. If there's something worth doing now, do it now. If there's nothing worth doing now, then you sit and hold. I got to be honest, I don't want to make 5 picks in a draft. It's way too risky. So I would love to send 2 of them for a very good player and then draft 3.
Yeah, that's fair.
Or even the other way around. Like, you know, like I'd rather trade 3 of them away for 2 players and then draft 2. And same thing with 6 picks. I'd rather trade 3 and draft 3. I'm fine paying the we've seen it tax, you know.
Yeah, right.
When it comes to players like that. Like I'll wait halfway through a rookie season, at the end of a rookie season, as opposed to paying up in a draft.
It's league dependent as well. If you recruit this many first round picks, I wonder how much value they are to the rest of the people in your league. Have they traded them to win? In which case, you're probably good. But if they tend to undervalue picks, like someone DM'd me the other day and was asking about trade value, and I was talking about the liquidity, because I'm a banker now, apparently, of first round picks. It was like, I never really thought about it that way. Not a lot of trades get done in my league, though. And that was an immediate red flag for me, because it was like, if not a lot of trades happen, the liquidity or the ability to trade something for something else immediately falls. And that's what I worry, where you've acquired them all. And so that would definitely emphasize for me, when you get a good trade, don't worry about the value later on. We love to guess as much as we can where this market's going, but mostly if it meets what you think is fair, that's what you need. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, unless you have one of those weird leagues where there's more than 3 teams competing, so that's how you got them all, or you did it all in the non-point scoring season. But yeah, Peter's exactly right. If you got them and you got them at good prices randomly throughout the past couple of months, you might not be able to move them super easily. In which case, then yeah, you draft and hope you draft well.
I'm guessing from the way the questions you're asking and the way you're talking, like you've just made good trades to get these, but it is something I wanted to put out there anyway, so I'm using this question.
Very good point.
To do it. Like you're probably good, but just that's an in your league
that
note
good,
that
boy.
Really made. Basically, how many picks are too many? None, in the sense you can have as many as you want. I mean, I literally saw J. Mike Chen draft an entire first round, and he's very happy with the team.
He had 20 of the first 24 picks.
Not all classes are 2020 and 2021. Mostly that's too many. But again, how much is too many? If one of those turns out to be DeAndre Hopkins, who turned out in one of the worst draft classes for wide receivers, then it doesn't matter. You could have spent 5 picks on DeAndre Hopkins and be pretty happy with it. So, yeah, there's no such thing as too many. It's all the value of it in any one time.
It's all about when you know what players are going to be where, that you get to, like, because if you like, oh, these are the players getting drafted there, I don't like any of those guys. Hey, you have too many picks.
I would say, sorry, I was just rethinking about the very nice comment we got about the effort we put in. I was thinking about talking about how little effort I am in general, but it's not true. I do work hard. And it made me think of the background here, that I spent forever making a terrible background. And that reminded me that Ken Moody literally promised us this week he would have one that he preferred, and he did not. Okay,
so
you win. Sorry, I was just a note directly to you live in front of the audience. Like, do you remember that thing that we're meant to have?
I do remember that.
I just remembered it. I forgot. Terry McCollum, QBs are killing his production. Yeah, yeah, but not his value. Don't sell. Cooper Adams just pointed out he's a dynasty wide receiver 6 right now. I'm selling at that. At 25, he's going to be 26 near. How much could he possibly do next year to be valued more than a wide receiver 6?
In October, he was the wide receiver 12. Above him is Cooper Kupp, DJ Moore, Stephon Diggs, Calvin Ridley, AJ Brown, Tyreek Hill. I'm going to leave out the super young guys and Devontae Adams. I think he could easily jump above Cooper Kupp, DJ Moore, Stephon Diggs, Calvin Ridley, Tyreek Hill, and Devontae Adams. That's everyone I just read.
Yeah.
Will there be people that jump above him also? Yeah, probably. But I could easily see McLaurin being a top 10 by default.
I was just spitballing with Cooper.
Besides the fact I think he deserves it.
It was interesting. Like, he's wide receiver 12 right now. According to the sentiment on that website I was looking at, he's actually higher than that. So this is a what's the value in your league question.
5,
But what I
6,
do
7,
think is
8,
interesting,
9.
there's potential improvement in that situation. So at wide
Yes.
receiver 12, I'm like, okay, I can get that. But if he's already being valued up there in your league, kind of a thing, like, I don't know. Potentially, if that sentiment measurement is right, then he might be a sell.
Well, see, the
I
thing is,
don't
like,
think so, but he could
I
be.
think the production matches. That's the thing. Like, I think he will be again, especially if his situation improves, if the quarterback play improves. There's no reason to think he can't be scoring wide receiver 10, wide receiver 12, in which case the value matches.
And don't get me wrong, I wouldn't be thirsty to do it. The ultimate thing is you've got a really good wide receiver on your team. He's already produced. The situation is going to remain relatively shitty, or pardon me, or get a lot better, or just more volume in the similar situation. So, like, I don't see a lot of downside. I wouldn't be eager to get rid of him, but it did make me wonder if there's a larger value out there than I thought for Terry McLaurin, but mostly no. I wouldn't. I'm not eager to get rid of him. It's just about
But
the
if the trade comes your way, you take it. I mean, yeah, exactly.
Hunt and Dillon are probably the only value I have in the running back room. Oh, Fields, man.
So you don't have any running back value in your
I feel that in such a deep way. No, and the running
Dillon's
backs in
actually
this
getting more
year's
run
class
lately.
are probably going to be hyped because there are older running backs in the league, and so you probably get a lot of interest in those running backs since you have the picks for them. So I'd be more interested in trading for running backs that we already know as opposed to the rookies, because I think the value is going to escalate a little bit. Just as a note, find the trades you like. But yeah,
There's going to be someone in your league who's going to value one of these rookies more than McCaffrey or Barkley.
Yep.
I'm putting that out there right now.
And you trade for McCaffrey, Barkley, even Henry.
Yeah. And for me to say that means something. Yeah, you go trade for McCaffrey and Barkley.
Like, it's really weird year for me to wait for. I usually love the offseason. This offseason, the things I'm usually hyped up for aren't going to be true because running back value is going to drop, wide receiver value is going to escalate, and I'm going to have to start like buying running backs. It's really weird. It's icky feeling, but you do you. But that's where I think I'm going to be in the offseason. Even with a bad running back room, I wouldn't be planning to draft rookie running backs. Not that they're not going to be good, just I think the value might be a little more tempting for me. Thanks. Wasn't planning on selling DJ, but was considering making moves for playoff push. Yeah, you can definitely use him to make a playoff push. I wouldn't be so scared of losing DJ that I wouldn't use him to win. Put it that way.
If you're willing to add to him to get something, yeah, I don't 1-for-1 him for another wide receiver or anything like that.
And if you're making a push, you should, outside of that team we just looked at, it can happen where wide receiver is your best move, but mostly you're looking at other positions if you're trying to make a push, specifically running back, right? Generally. Jared Goodman, hey man, have 2 late 2021st on a team with Kyler. I was going to do the don't expect them to be late thing there, but I'm going to move on. Kyler, Kamara, Swift, Cordero Patterson, Henderson, you're stocked. Goodwin, a little banged up. Pittman, I think he's going to bounce back for him. Renfrew is really solid at his value level. Knox in first place. Wow, good job. And I want to make a push to win. What should I send? And this is one of those situations where I think where you need to improve is your wide receiver or tight end core. Like, everything else is stopped, man. You don't need to improve that quarterback. Those running backs look great for this year. And next year, for that matter. Pittman, I do think bounces back, but that's where you've got questions. Marcus Brown.
Something. Who are you starting right now if you only have Knox? Or did I miss a tight end in that list?
No, it's just stocks.
All right, in which case, yeah, you might want to get one of those.
Yeah, and if you're looking at tight ends, who do you go trade for?
We've been saying Gesicki over and over again. I think that's still the right answer.
I think Gesicki's a good answer. I think, depending on what Travis Kelce is, people are worried about his age.
If
Kyle Pitts is the one. Throwing it out there. Just see where he is. If he's on a losing team or a struggling team or a team that has Kyle Pitts, I would throw something at the Travis Kelce owner. I think everyone values Mark Andrews now, right?
Yeah, I think that's caught up.
Hunter Henry, another discount option.
Yeah, he's been scoring a lot of touchdowns.
But this year I expect his role to keep up, and so the touchdown should be around there.
That's what you need out of tight ends anyway. I meant that as a good thing.
Yeah. Tight ends are touchdowns unless you're Travis Kelce and Darren Waller.
Yes.
Yeah, I think Kelsey might be the most interesting buying to push to win because his value's going to drop, so someone's willing to sell, but he's probably still going to produce next year anyway, so you don't have to worry about that as much as maybe some other wide receiver, for example. I am Frank. Oh, wow, you actually are. Wow. Sorry. Russ is pronouncing it right. Congratulations, Russ. I do apologize, man. It's not... I learned long ago that if I shouldn't say French things. It's just an insult to an entire country. Like it's a wonderful language, and I make it sound bad. So, Jason Brihost. I make English sound bad. Jason Brihost. Any thoughts on Sutton's future outlook? Worried about target share with Judy? Yeah. I hear you.
Free agent.
Don't play that game with me because you can always go to a worse situation. I think Sutton's proved he's capable of earning targets. I think that Judy's on the field, so he won't get targets, is a little exaggerated. Right now, you just got Tim Patrick, who's kind of better than both of them, and it's a little awkward right now. But it'll even out. I think Sutton's fine.
And also, him and Bridgewater, like their styles don't mix. I think that's a little bit of the problem.
That's fair. He's more, he's more of a, what would you call him, an X?
Yeah,
you put him in that Michael Pittman vein, right? He's what everyone wants T. Higgins to be. No one is actually low on T. Higgins. We're all buying T. Higgins low, which means no one's actually low on T.
Higgins is still getting double-digit targets a game. Sutton is not.
Sutton's actually that guy. I'm going to go with that. I would buy. I think he's good.
I love me some Sutton. So as long as you have Sutton's the price. Moving on.
It rhymed. It sounds cute. I like it.
I like it too.
What is Trevor Lawrence's value? It's really interesting. Quarterback valuation is real tough. I think I've said that enough. The people I trust most say that if Trevor Lawrence is not a good quarterback, we don't know what good quarterbacks look like. This year's been decent. It's been fine. I think he's good. I haven't been scared away. I haven't seen anything to think he has that Herbert Mahomes type ceiling or Lamar Jackson ceiling in him. But I think he's fine. Russ, got anything on Trevor Lawrence? I mean, the teams are sackers. He's not in a great situation. And I don't think he's doing badly even in that. And I think that's positive. He's not doing badly.
Yeah. The thing is, doesn't matter what he's done, his value hasn't changed. Am I worried? Yeah. I mean, a little bit, but not to the point where I'd be like panic selling or anything. So where do I rank him in QBs for his draft class? I mean, I don't know the QBs well. I still think he's probably above any QB in this coming draft class, just because at this point we knew Trevor Lawrence. Right now, I don't know any of the, like, I know names, but I also know they're not that great. So I do still think Trevor Lawrence would easily be the 101 in this Superflex draft.
He's quarterback 11 right now. In October ADP, I don't see it shifting down much. Because the good players that are better with more upside are getting older. All the other younger ones are already above him. And I haven't heard a lot of buzz that as a rookie quarterback, we can't wait to see. So, yeah, I think he's going to be around 11, 12, 13. I think his value is safe at least. Mm-hmm. Kaz Schultz again also traded Mixon for a 2023 first and Tony, and then flipped Tony for the 23 first from a Tony believer.
Good for you, Kaz.
Can I listen to your podcast? Those are some moves, man. I appreciate that. That's good moves. Philistine, another one for you. I have ETN. I appreciate the phonetic spelling, I really do. And I'm looking to acquire Henderson J. Rob from same manager. Okay. Assuming same price, would you rather have ETN on roster also? Yeah. I mean, for what? I think it's James Robinson's job. I do. So I'm not overly worried about it. But yeah, having ETN is better than not having ETN.
Assuming rational coaching, it's Robinson's job.
I'm assuming the the good
Go
nature
ahead.
of the universe, because that's what.
Have
I
you
just think
seen
it's super
Urban Meyer? Do you think he fits into the good whatever
Is
universe?
he meant
said?
to have quit already? You know.
No, okay. So here's the you have ETN. You're looking to acquire Henderson or J. Rob. I don't put the fact that I have ETN on my team into the equation. I don't care.
No, that's what I would
because
say. No, that's fair.
Assuming I agree with Peter, and let's pretend Urban Meyer agrees with Peter, that Robinson has established a role. That doesn't affect your team. That just affects the guy you have there already. That affects ETN. That doesn't hurt you in any way. And if anything, if one of them gets hurt, you then have the dude that's going to be the workhorse there. The rest of the season, who do you prefer, Henderson or J-Rob? To me, that's really just the question. And I don't know. I got to be honest. I think J-Rob.
Slightly lean in favor of Henderson, just because the team's a little bit more slow. Yeah, but no, you said it. It's good. I think that's it. I part of what's missing in Dynasty analysis is roster backups is fine during a startup, but increasingly the further you get into a Dynasty, it's more like later into a league where having your own backup running backs actually is probably the move, just to give John Hogle a love. But I wouldn't weight it overly. You're just looking for the best starter, and I think that's Henderson right now, so I'd probably trade for Henderson.
Yeah, I never make handcuff running back decisions based on anything. Like, I'll never go buy a handcuff for my guy, and I'll never go buy a guy because I have the handcuff.
No. If it's available, it's great, but I'm not stretching for it. I love that. Thank you. Appreciate that. Taking it easy on me. Is buying age for a contending team a bad thing?
Nope.
No. Just traded for Antonio Brown. Is Antonio going to play again this year? I really hope so, but no, that's fine. I have Kelsey as well. I'm putting my team in a tough position, trying to win now with older players. We do try and have an eye on value at the same time, right? So what do you trade for them? Is there any other moves you make to try and get some value elsewhere? But ultimately, do not underrate trying to win. Winning is the thing. So I wouldn't be trading them and risking winning just for that value. It's the other way. There's a heuristic, but I can't remember what it is. I'm not smart enough. The only thing to buy is value. The only thing to buy is points. Don't buy value. That's not a thing. Fair value is not something you should look for in trades. You look for points or you look for upside value. That's it. That's where I'm at anyway. Does that make sense?
You're just no.
No.
Okay. So it's the thing
you
that
want value that increases, not value that's fair, and you want points.
Well, sometimes one has to come at the sake of the other. So there is nothing bad about taking on age to try and win. Winning is absolutely worth it, because if you want to look at it this way, if you win, you paid for the next 2-3 years that your team's going to suffer a little bit because of it. But Zeke's still going to be good. Antonio Brown is still going to be good. Kelsey is still going to be good. These guys will not be worth zero. So even after you win, while you might not be able to recoup the cost you put in, while you might not be able to get what you think is fair value, you can get something for these guys. You will be able to affect your team in some way, shape, or form by selling these players. And so, don't look at it as, oh man, now I have zero dynasty value on my team. You still have it, not as much.
Picks regenerate. You get a good waiver wire pickup here. You make a good later draft pick there. I mean, if we can't build value at other places, then having that first round pick, and we need to be able to, whether we've got first round picks or not. So I know it feels bad. I've been there. I'm there in one team, and I'm probably not going to win. But you just have to trust that if you just keep working, you get the right players later in the draft, find a good waiver wire pickup, you can build value other ways. And winning is more important.
Winning is more important.
Yeah, I would keep an eye on it. Like, never entirely let go of the idea of value, but you're doing good. I think you're fine. That's where I would say. Where would OBJ have to go to actually be somewhat exciting man in fantasy? I don't know. He's going everywhere, according to my timeline. At this point, I have to question if he can fit into a team, get on the system, and earn targets. I haven't seen him do that in a while.
As we were starting to record, I saw that Davante Adams was trending, and I got concerned. And I went and I looked, and it's because apparently OBJ wants to go to the Packers, and apparently the Packers are offering him a vet minimum. I like him there. There's no he'll be better right off the street. He's better than any other receiver besides Adams that they have there. And with Tunyon gone, there's literally no one else to catch the ball. So I'm absolutely cool if he goes. Okay, see, here's the problem. You use the word somewhat excited. I'm not excited about it. I just don't think it's terrible.
Actually, I think that's a good question. He's not necessarily asking where's he going to score points or where would he score points so much as where would his value increase. And I think the Packers are a great answer for that. I think Indianapolis might be an underrated answer.
That would actually also be that would be a very good landing spot.
Any team that is considered a good or solid team would probably create enough excitement that there's a value increase, at least. I think he goes to the Chiefs. I would hate it, but his value increases.
I mean, it's not going to reach a first ever again. So, I mean, increase is very relative.
Well, it would be more excited value. There you go.
Somewhat excited.
Skylar Gage? Oh, he's selling Darnold for anything and everything right now in Superflex. Personally, yeah. If you can get 2/3, I think you should be able to get that. More than that, should I pull the trigger? I don't feel like I'm able to get a second, unfortunately.
He is a starting quarterback, in which case keep him on your roster in case you get an injury. I mean, it's more worth it to your roster than what 2/3 are ever going to be worth.
I mean,
well, I would never be excited about starting Darnold.
No, you don't want him, but I mean,
better than 2/3.
I kept the faith with Teddy Bridgewater, and here I am, baby. I mean, the NFL does love its draft capital. You just got to keep repeating that in the back of your head until they find a job again, and until they're worth more than 2/3 again. If you can't get a second, then it looks like you roster Sam Darnold for a while.
Yeah,
that's where I'm at. If you just hate it, get him off my team, then you can do whatever you want. But that's what I would be thinking. And then I'd ask Russ just to actually find out what I should. What is the reasonable asking price?
A second is insanely reasonable at this point.
I mean, I would go put a first with him and see if I could get Jalen Hurts, or if I'm feeling really frisky, Tua. If I can add a first and something else to him and try and get Tua, I guess
that would be beautiful.
Well, just a first. Again, that's kind of my base reaction. What can I trade? What can I get off my list? But
I mean, that's a really great way to think about it. It's not what can I get for him, but what can I use him to get?
Yeah,
that's a great way of thinking about it.
He's like a first minus. Like, you're not going to get a first, and I don't expect to get a first, but he's a first minus, like an A minus. You get it?
Yeah, but the problem is you're going to have a tough
no,
time
you're not getting it. But
him.
That's what I think is very.
No, you're going to have a tough time getting a second for him at this point.
Skyler, you apologize for it being poorly worded. Have you heard me talk? You're good, man. That was eloquent as all get out, as far as I can tell. That was wonderful. David Woods traded Michael Thomas, DeAndre Hopkins, McCall Hardman. Good. For a first and Justin Jefferson. Thoughts? I think you hit a brag. I think you should be.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, like 2 Hopkins aging out wide receivers, one that isn't even playing, and then a first for Jefferson. That's beautiful, man.
I like getting Mike Thomas and DeAndre Hopkins. On the other hand, you got Justin Jefferson. I think that's fair all round. And
I would feel so happy getting Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, I feel pretty happy. Of course, next year, Thomas and DeAndre Hopkins are probably top 12 wide receivers again. You're like, damn it! But
you'll still feel fine because Justin Jefferson is still going to be a top 3 valued wide receiver.
and a 23 first, which is probably going to be worth like 3 Justin Jeffersons by that time. And I really think people can go crazy after that class. All right. And a question. So I get to turn to my notes for the first time in a while and see if there's anything. No, not really.
All right,
Oh, Brandon Ayuk.
I'm going to take a quick nap.
Oh, fair enough. No, Brandon Ayuk.
He scored points. That's
value
exciting.
Again, finally?
No.
Sorry, you lagged out there for me for a second, so it looks like you were talking while taking a nap, and it was pretty enjoyable.
I was. I do that. It's a problem.
No, six catches from 8 targets, 89 yards. I mean, it's not 69 yards, but it was pretty good. Deebo Samuel was the most targeted, but that really happened later in the game from my observing of it. I think Samuel's still the guy there, but Brandon Ayuk once again reminded everyone that when Deebo's at all limited, he's a very good player. Yes. And he can earn volume and do well with that volume. I think that he's worth less on a first days. Definitely gone with even just one reminder game. Do you think he does the same next week? I guess will be the other question.
No, I think he needs to do the same thing next week because everyone's going to say, well, this is just a fluke. I need to see it again. And that's honestly, that's where I am. So
how many times does he need to prove? No,
more than once.
Speaking of MT, I'm in a contending team and just got hanging out on IR. Just got MT hanging out. And is it worth moving him for a player friend? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I mean,
not only is he aging, but winning is more important than value to me. So if you can get something that legitimately helps you win, yes.
Yeah, if you can get someone that's legitimately scoring points right now, I would absolutely do that because he's going to be 28 or 29-year-old wide receiver hasn't played in 2 years and is going to go to a new team. Like, this is like almost uncharted. Like, this is very weird territory. So we want him to come back and be Michael Thomas for whatever team he goes to, but we have no idea what he's going to be if/when he comes back.
I think his production is always going to outweigh his value from here on out. So
1,000%. Yes.
You can definitely sell him to win. You can definitely sell him for value if your team's in that situation, and you can definitely buy him for production when you need to, as well.
Buy him back later.
That's what's so great about Team Old Guy. They work in any situation. What did you think of Jordan Love's first game? Well, not his first game, but first game we've actually seen to get him started. 19 of 34 passes for 190 yards and a touchdown. I didn't watch it. Was he any good?
I didn't really watch it either. He wasn't terrible. I mean, that was the most important thing. He needed to not be terrible, and he wasn't. So, I mean, for fantasy wise, his value is still there because we all believe that Rodgers is going to be gone. In which case, I mean, Love is going to start when that happens.
I know. I should just name one player. I think that's what would help young Wards out here. What wide receiver would you trade Joe Mixon for? Don't give me a list. Don't tell me to make my own list. What's one guy on your list that you are trading for that's reasonably possible at Joe Mixon prices?
Cooper Kupp.
Think so? Oh, yeah. Hands down. That was better than my answer. If you can get Kupp, I'd get Kupp.
Yeah, I think that's a good, straight up. And I think that works because they're both weird dynasty value-wise.
I think right now my main target is between Marcus Brown and Bateman, and I think I'm just going to go Bateman.
But I also think Mixon is probably worth more than them individually.
Yeah, but if I was going to trade for one, I think your answer is fantastic. I think I go for Bateman just because I'm a sucker for those young wide receivers that I'm in ones aren't quite sure yet, but do have positive signal. Just a sucker for it. But
yeah, it's situation dependent. If your team is not trying to win, then I would not trade for Kupp. If you're trying to get younger, then like Bateman in a second, Bateman in a first, if you can, would be pretty amazing.
All right. And what's going on with the Bills? What was last week about? What was Cole Beasley getting 11 targets for 33 yards about? Another game I didn't get to see. So was Josh Allen just terrible, or
that
was
game
he good?
Was terrible? That's
just a terrible game.
Like there was this magical defense that apparently no one has heard of until this season. This cover 2 shell or whatever the hell it is. That all of a sudden Patrick Mahomes is terrible, and they apparently ran it on Josh Allen this week. and apparently he now is terrible as well. So I don't know. I think it's a fluke.
I think you're seeing defenses adjust to these high-level QB outputs, but I think thinking they're therefore done is short-term thinking. I think there's a counter to the counter to the counter, and these players have established themselves as being good for fantasy at the NFL level, and I'm not overly concerned. As a Fields owner looking to make a potential playoff run this year, should I hold or try and buy an older guy like Kirk or Tannehill plus or something? Well, the plus makes me wonder if you're thinking value or production. But last week was incredibly positive to me. That's not a defense that's particularly easy to run on, which forces you to pass well, to be fair. And I think he did. I think him and Donald Mooney did really well. I think it was a very positive Justin Fields game.
Allen Robinson made a very nice catch and then had to take a seat for a while because he was tired.
He's been sitting for a while. Okay. But no, I think it's really positive Justin Fields. Side note, but just throwing that out there. I wouldn't trade him for Kirk or Tannehill.
Agreed.
Going up. If you're really pushing for this year, then I would say you're looking at Tom Brady plus something.
Yes. But also, you get a lot of plus. Yes, I would go for someone that is scoring more points, and you still get stuff on top. Because I mean, Kirk's okay. Tannehill's not doing great. It's not like what he was last year. But also, Fields is really freaking good. I get that winning is very important, but man, losing Fields, who I think is going to be a top quarterback. I don't know what number to throw in there, but I really believe in the talent and believe in the fact that they're going to get rid of Nagy. So, like, I'm there. I'm with Fields. I don't really want to sell him if I don't have to.
I would say you have no need to trade Fields. I don't know if there's Superflex or 2 QB either, which it doesn't affect too much. Just throwing that out there, it helps whether you need quarterback or not. I think I'd probably just keep Fields. If you really want to push with it, yeah, I think Tom Brady would be my target. Outside of that, you got Kyler Murray, Patrick Mahomes, and Lamar Jackson, and go get one of those guys by adding something to Fields, but I don't think you need to. Cass, again, hey, I like Pittman and a pick, maybe for Mixon. Okay.
Yeah.
If you like Pittman, I think that's very fair. And the first gives you some insulation, or the pick there gives you a little bit of safety because of my haterism. But
value-wise, Mixon and Cup are probably the same. If we're putting production in, that's a little bit different story depending on who has Cup and how they're doing. I mean, like Peter's been screaming this entire time. No matter how much time I try and tune him out, it's league specific.
Cooper 2 touchdown Cup. You think people like him right now? Yeah. Yeah, it's probably fair. I think if I have Cup, I would expect more than Mixon, to be honest with you. Even if I'm selling out. But if you could, I would definitely be interested in it. Hello.
Hey.
I have Lamar. Oh,
for you, man.
You, Young World. Is that the guy that was thinking? No, it's not the guy who's thinking of selling Fields. I was going to say you definitely don't need to. Cass, when do you live stream like this? Every Wednesday, 9:30 till we get too tired, really.
Until I start crying too much,
at least. And more potentially in the off season. I try and do it several times a week in the off season, just because it's fun and there's nothing else going on. Jared Gurman, with my first place team, Kamara, Swift, Henderson. Yes, I remember it very well. It's a very nice team. What are your thoughts on Pittman? A late 2022 first, a late 22 second for CD. I would do that trade to get CD. Yeah. I love CD Lamb. I think he's top tier.
I know, like value-wise, I completely get it. Talent-wise, I completely get it. For the rest of this season, do you really think the production difference is going to be there?
I don't think
that's the only thing holding me back. Do you make a move like that when you're in first place? That trade will be there after you win this season. I don't think I bother doing it now.
Yeah, you don't have to. I think it's right on the money, but I don't think it affects your chances of winning just yet, if that's the question. See, Pittman's actually probably got more potential for you this year. So, yeah, Russ is right. You definitely don't have to do it right now. Be a trade I'd be very interested in. Later, maybe? Young Ward. So, Adam or CD straight up for Mixon. I'm losing. I got to up and got to upgrade wide receiver top 5 teams are all 6-3. Okay.
Wait, is he saying you can get CD straight up for Mixon?
Do that.
Yes.
Do that.
Now.
Right.
Now.
We'll wait.
Let us know how it goes.
No, we'll wait.
Honestly, I take Adams also. I don't care that he's old.
I really like him. Yeah. Yes. No problem with Adams.
But I love Devontae Adams.
Yeah, here's the thing, and this is why make your list, know your league. Because if I thought CeeDee Lamb was in the world of, or Cooper Kupp was in the world of Mixon's value, yeah, I would do that all day. I had him lower than either you or Russ did here, so I aimed a little low. All right, other world events. Week 9 events. Darren Waller is now top 2 tight end again after everyone thought he wouldn't be, including you, I believe. Would he get that target share back? Yeah, he had 11.
I really didn't think losing Ruggs would make that big of a difference.
It didn't. It's just his... Sorry, Karen.
No, it's like that's the only thing I try and grasp for, like, why did this happen? And the only thing I could think of that changed was Ruggs is gone.
And you're well, I was kind of trying to make a joke there, but I really do think if you could get CeeDee Lamb for Mixon, you're solid. That's a really good trade. I really like CeeDee Lamb.
1,000% you go do that.
I think he's going anyway. If you like it, especially. Yeah, every time.
No, even if you don't, you do it anyway, because then you trade CeeDee.
Obviously. Taysom Hill completed passes.
Congrats. All right, so this is a little awkward because I've been coming onto this show for a couple of weeks now.
Mm-hmm.
You have my name spelled wrong on the scrolling thing.
I noticed that. Just before we started today, I was like, that looks wrong.
I noticed it like a month and a half ago. I just never said anything about it.
Okay, spell your name, Russ.
There's no C in Fisher. Just take away the C and we're good.
I can't remember how it's spelled. That better?
Much better.
All right. We're the only ones who use this banner, because I never have to edit it. Everyone else that comes in on DLF must just not use it. It's just us. It's just for us. I think that's actually kind of cool.
We're so damn good, they don't want to make us have to do extra stuff. That's right.
I think that's exactly it. There was something else going on this week that seemed relevant. I mean, Nick Chubb's out. Dalvin Cook might miss time because of legal issues, but it looks like he probably won't this season based on the
that'll be next. That'll absolutely be a next season thing. There's way too much stuff going on that no one knows the real answer to. Right. So it's definitely not going to get solved this season.
I don't think it's a this season thing. No. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt are both out, right?
Well, we don't know for sure about Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb tested positive for COVID. He's vaccinated. So according to the rules, if he can get 2 negative tests within 24 hours before the game, he can play. And it's only Wednesday, so there's still a chance.
I can tell you that, like me and other Nancy projection outfits, because we get overly scared about that stuff, we're putting like D'Ernest Johnson as a running back one for Cleveland this week, inside the top 24. 4-for-4 actually has him a lot higher than that. Just expecting the volume because the team in general rushes a lot.
He did well with it last time.
So he should be a good start. Yeah, should be an interesting start this week for anyone that's interested. It's not very Dynasty take, but it's where I ended up.
Man, Dynasty, you still got to win games.
I mean, you do. More
eventually.
Eventually, that's the idea. I actually have to move them up. That's why I'm vamping here. Is there anything else that happened last week or any other Dynasty player movements you think were worth noting? I'm nothing. I've forgotten something.
This week was so freaking weird that I just don't think that anything was really telling about much. I love the fact that Russell Wilson's finally coming back because that's just good for the entire offense. As long as Chris Carson should be coming back as well. So that's, again, just very good for that offense in general. So I know we were talking about DK being a top 5 Dynasty wide receiver, but his production might step up. Well, will hopefully step up a little bit, as well as Tyler Lockett. So I'm really looking forward to that because I have those wide receivers and I have Chris Carson everywhere. So
talking about productive wide receivers, And Odell Beckham being gone, Jarvis Landry still seems a little underrated. I think he can have use.
There's just no ceiling. Like maybe when it's the Darren Johnson show, they might pass the ball more. But if Nick Chubb or Kareem Hunt is around, they're not going to pass the ball enough for it to really matter. Plus, Baker, like I was listening to the late round podcast today, and Baker actually has like the most deep ball throws percentage in the league, but they're all going to DPJ at this point. And like Landry isn't the deep guy anyway, so I don't think anything affects Landry at this point. He is what he is. I don't think that changes.
A startable wide receiver, I agree.
He's a startable wide receiver 3. That's exactly what he is. Did I hurt you with that last part?
A little bit. May have gone deep into my soul and just lodged there. We'll never know. That's about it. I got nothing. My notes are done. I'm happy to talk to you forever, but I got nothing else to continue the conversation.
So what are your plans this weekend, man?
Don't have any. I'll be working mostly. So. I want to go to the movies. I want to take the family and go to the movies. It's been forever, but I'm always working when they're not in school or healthy, and yeah.
So that's why you get a streaming service. You get up on the couch, pop some of your own popcorn, throw some blankets over everybody, turn all the lights off.
Yeah, that's nice. It's just not why you go to the movie.
Hide everyone's phones and tablets. Oh, don't get me wrong. I love going to the theater. I miss it. I love going to the theater.
I don't know why. Like the one thing like to go out and do. Like I don't enjoy shopping. I mean, museums are very silent, solitary experience. I like going to the movies. It's kind of fun.
I love going to
eat something, you chat, you go watch a movie, and then talk about it. It's fun. I'm the field owner from earlier. I also have Daniel Jones and Tua. Should I look to upgrade one of those guys? I mean,
I'd upgrade Daniel Jones over moving Fields pretty easily.
I would,
though I like Daniel Jones, but even still, yeah, pretty easily. Out of the 3 of them, I would move Jones first.
I would say now's a great time to move Daniel Jones off your roster, upgrading or not.
Yeah.
I seem to have more hope for Daniel Jones, for Tua Tagovailoa than most.
I love Tua. I'm there.
I think it's more. I mean, even the team seems to be talking like they don't have a quarterback. We don't know. It's like he seems to be improving. He seems to be doing pretty well.
He's doing really well. And let's face it, if the Dolphins do end up following through and going and trading for Deshaun Watson, Tua will be part of that, in which case Tua will still be a starting quarterback. I'm not worried about that at all.
I don't understand what's going on. I just think the player is pretty decent. That's all I know. At least.
Yeah, I agree with you. I really like the player.
I don't know how to ask that question, but I feel like I'm high on Dak Prescott. Like the production hasn't been there recently, but I still think he's a good
Yeah, he's a top 5 QB for me, I think. Without thinking about who the top 5 are. But yeah, he's very up there. He's very much up there for me.
Just feels like I can really only get value from Fields.
If you only have the one asset of the quarterback to trade away, then yeah, you're going to get more for Fields than anyone else. But if you have anything to add to Daniel Jones, you can get something better.
Yeah. I'd look at it again. I revert it the other way. What I'm looking to do to improve my position, I think Tom Brady's my top target. I would go see what team he's on, and if they're winning, okay, I'm gonna have to go find a new target, and I'd move on from there. And then I would start with Daniel Jones, and if I had to, I'd move to Fields. But again, I don't feel like you need to upgrade a quarterback here. For the potential players you could trade for it as well, like I don't think either get you Lamar Jackson or Justin Herbert or very easily without giving up a lot. I just don't feel like the points difference, or Kyler Murray is the other guy I was trying to think of. Yeah. It's really going to add up.
Go look through whatever site you play on. I'm sure you can look through the scores of your past weeks. Look to see the difference that you've lost or won by, or especially if you lost. It's going to be more than 2 or 3 points most weeks. Chances are you lost by 15, you lost by 20. If Kirk Cousins is scoring 4 more points a week than Justin Fields, that's not going to change most of those games. then doing that trade isn't worth it just for the season because
Whereas, yeah, I like that because
value-wise.
it gives him a range to look at. If he really is just been losing by a couple of points a week, maybe it's a little bit more interesting. Yeah, I think
then maybe it might be more worth it. But still, I like Fields too much to trade him for one of those guys.
Yeah, I get it. I guess this is a point where we have a third person just to step in and don't become too attached to players. Where's John Bosch when you need him to be like value matters? Points.
Where was he this week? What the hell?
I know, right? Didn't jump in Twitch at all.
Hold on, I don't check my phone. Let me see if he texted.
You would know. I don't get messages.
He usually texts me to be like, "Yo, jerk, why haven't you answered my question?" or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Nope. I have 3 first-round picks, but I don't want to draft a QB since I have Lance, Wilson, Fields. I'm really not sure Lance is going to plan out here, guys, but whatever. And Lawrence, but I get it. You feel pretty stacked at quarterback. That's nice. I also have AJ Brown, McLaurin, and Pittman.
Is JJ? Oh, Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
I had to think about who JJ was.
Yeah. I thought he just melts Terry, to be honest. You've got a point. JJ's on that team as well. No notable RBs aside from Mitchell and Javonte. I think your running back's pretty good long term.
Yeah, that's actually pretty good. That's an RB1 and an RB2. If you
Again, it's not a this year team. And that always feels weird when you've built a good dynasty team and you're not competitive.
Yep.
It's because team old guy matters. And I will remember that especially this offseason, actually. But no, you've built a great squad. You have the value pieces to move around. You don't have to give up too much to start getting some of those points producers. And some of the guys you have, definitely going to be the points producers next year, in my opinion.
Yep.
So
what do you do with the first 3 picks? Trade them. If you don't want to draft, trade them. I mean, that's the answer.
Yeah.
You don't have do you have picks 1, 2, and 3? I mean, if you have picks 4 through 7 or 6, there might not be a quarterback there, in which case you're just drafting the best value that's there.
I understand these questions, and the ones I ask myself in my leagues were not it's not like they're weird questions. Unfortunately, most of the answers boil down to the same thing. So just keep saying it depends on the trade offer. But I would feel very comfortable trading away picks for some of those old guys or packaging them with like Lance plus a first gets you what? In your league, could you make a push for Lamar Jackson or Kyler Murray? Like you can use them to improve your team if you want. Yeah. You can use them to do that because your team is already pretty good. Having said that, it's not like your running back room doesn't need improvement. So if you can't get decent trades, you can draft a few rookie running backs. And if you have to value them over a few QBs, don't trade the pick. But again, like I was trying to say earlier, sometimes quarterbacks are pushed above running backs and wide receivers because of positional value in Superflex and 2 QB, and that's not always necessarily the right draft order. We do lean, I think I at least lean a little too heavily on it. And mostly you just draft the best players. And you don't have to lean on that positional value. So you can still draft running backs even if they are high first round picks.
Yep.
But that's where my head would be at. I'll be exploring trades for sure, but I don't think you should feel panicked. Like, I don't want to draft the quarterbacks. It's like, it's okay. Someone will by the time you get there. And if you can't find a good trade, well, I guess I'll just have all the quarterbacks. Or you can default. I'm positive there's going to be a running back in this class we're really excited about because there's just so much space for a young running back, or it feels like that right now. So I think someone's going to want him, even if you don't. You're in a very good position. Not for this year, unfortunately.
Yeah,
but dynasty-wise, this is an amazing team. Actually, I don't even want to say that. I should probably ask for your win record because there is, in some of my leagues, it's literally the team stacked at wide receiver like this, just dominating every week. And with 2 running back 2s, points-wise on your roster, you might be as well, to be fair. Is Hollywood a sell this offseason? I don't think so. I don't think the value is going to get near where it needs to be to sell him. Love his production this season, but with Bateman progressing and JK and Gus coming back, they'll utilize running backs more. Yeah, I actually do think the passing should come down a little bit next year, which seems weird since I spent so long hoping it would increase this year, and it did. But it's gone up like last time I checked, like 10 attempts a game, and that's probably pretty high for this scheme. But they clearly do, despite the loss of the running backs, they're comfortable with, and they have wanted to utilize the passing game a little bit more. Lamar Jackson's capable of it. Very. So I'm not panic selling Brown. I think Bateman and Andrews and Hollywood can all be good in this offense. The problem you've got with Hollywood is I don't think his value is going to get near where you need it to be to trade him away. Like his wide receiver 20 on that one site I just checked. I don't think DLF is much better if you want to check, Russ. So everything's about what the trade is that you can possibly get, and you can explore them for sure. Because those are reasonable concerns, but I still think they're going to be good players and a really good team, and they're going to be productive for you. I wouldn't sell them away. I wouldn't sell Hollywood away for a first. I think he's worth more than that.
At this point, October, he's wide receiver 36, and that's definitely going to go up.
It's going to go up, but like I said, that keep drag cut side I just checked, Dynasty Sentiment or whatever has him at wide receiver 20, and that's too low. I just hold for that. But yeah, they should rush more. I think J.K. Dobbins is going to be good. Lamar Jackson's still the main rusher on the team, though. But the team rush attempts should come up. Pass attempts will come down. And that'll be just fine. I think they're good players.
He'll still keep his percentage.
Yeah. All of them being top 12? No. I think they can all be productive and get your top 24 season at least. And I think actually Browns are most likely to do it at this point. I just like Bateman.
You could like both.
I hate being reasonable. This is why I had to do in the offseason to say that they could improve a little bit and get a top 24 season. And instead they improve a lot. And he gets a top 12 season. And right now the most reasonable expectation is it does come down a little bit. And he's only a top 24 wide receiver next year. But I still want to say they're all going to finish in the top 24. Dry good players, especially when they're in great situations. And I think this team is good, even if the passing game should be expected to come down a little bit. I would take a team that I think is well run over a team that passes a lot every day of the week. That's the one place I will take quality over volume, as it were. Normally I'm all about the volume, but I just think not having to worry what fucking Urban Meyer's going to do every week is just wonderful. I think the coaches on this team know everything. I think they're very good. They're going to make good decisions for the team, which isn't necessarily the best decisions for fantasy, but I would rather take that. Good to know someone isn't going to waste your quarterback like the Colts freaking did with Andrew Luck. Just get him ruined. I think Lamar Jackson's in a good place. 2-10. Okay. Yeah.
It sounds about right with what that roster is.
AJ
but
Brown.
You feel good about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Traded Henderson for a first and oh yes. You've even got a running back set up for next year. You could very well be the guy next year. I think he should be the lead running back in more of a committee. And so yeah, I think you made a right move there. You even got a first for it. So that's cool. What do you think of the Ravens? Like it's reasonable to expect it to come down. So I want to make sure I say that. But like, I love this having players on this offense. I think it's productive.
No, I think they're good. And I love that they don't waste their time with 3 tight ends like they used to. So like if they throw the ball 25 times a game and those 25 are pretty much split between Bateman, Hollywood, and Andrews, then I think that's awesome.
Based on Hollywood's ADP, I think what's going on is it is really smart and accurate to note that the team likes to rush. They're probably going to rush more later, but like it's already adjusted for. Like it feels like an edge, but it's actually already what most people think that the team is a rushing team. And so to sell Hollywood at this point is almost kind of double counting. I don't know why I'm talking with my hands so much today.
Because you watch me do it the entire time.
I think that might be it. I think it might be your fault. Yeah. Matthew Biddle. I was a Dynasty Edition team, so my roster wasn't great. I have Carter, Sanders, Dillon, Gainwell, and Peterson. Adrian? Running back, I assume. Who would you recommend that I target? I also have 3 firsts, 2 seconds, and 3 firsts.
So much needs to be answered for this. Like, are you competing? Like, is that because if you're not, then you just draft running backs later. Deal with that later. Because honestly, I love Carter going forward, and I think every week that goes on, we might see more work for Dillon, or I don't think his work's going to go away, and he's already getting like 12-ish touches a game. I want them to. I don't understand why they just stopped using Gainwell, but they did. So that dream might be dead. But yeah, there's so much more that we need to know before I can give you a real answer with that one.
Where you're an additional team, I'm assuming you've come in and kind of taken the dregs here. That's what some of your running backs found. Like, Sanders is good, Carter is good. I'm not scared. Dillon has startable upside. Gainwell, same thing. Peterson, go team running back. Unless you meant Patterson, in which case go team back at running back. It's fine. Where you seem to be describing it as a team with a lack of value and lack of winning potential, ultimately my first step is to go get the most valuable dynasty asset, the one that we all probably overcovet, which is young wide receivers. And so my wide receivers on that list are Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, Terry McLaurin, though he's interesting after talking to Cooper, DJ Moore, and Stephon Diggs, although he's now slightly on team old guy. And I try and make moves to get those players.
Yep.
They don't go anywhere. The value's solid. You're just trying to build up your squad until you're in a position where you're ready to win and you're competitive, and then you start thinking about taking trades to get more points. So that's where I have
101. Just sell every single one of those guys. Sell Carter, sell Sanders, sell Dillon, sell Gainwell, sell Peters. Yeah, all of it. Make it all go away and turn it into wide receivers, or if it's a super flex league, quarterbacks as well.
You just look to increase your quote unquote value, young wide receivers, young tight ends, up and coming players, and trade them until suddenly you find yourself in a position in a week in a season where you're like, I'm competitive, like I'm a legitimate team, I'm a legitimate contender, and then you start thinking about trading for points, and you just work the one until you end up in the other situation. Generally. As a Zach Wilson owner in Dynasty, should I be concerned that everyone not named Zach Wilson is doing well as a QB? I'm really concerned about that, to be honest with you. His accuracy was somewhat lacking in college in that he was close but not close enough in terms of his targets, and so wide receivers had to make adjustments. And that small edge, he's an amazing quarterback by all other standards, but the small significant difference in the NFL seems to be having a large effect. And at this point, I'm panic selling. Now,
yes.
It's very fair to say we haven't seen that many games and we should give more time, and that's fair, which is why I don't panic sell for 2 seconds or 2/3 even on Sam Darnold, to be fair. But I'm legitimately concerned. That shouldn't
I was also never a fan in the first place, but if you can get the value you gave, I would do it.
Yeah, definitely. Same value. I want to re-roll this at this point. This is too worrying. Toronto Dave, what's up, buddy? Haven't seen you in a while. Am I wrong in valuing thirds as basically worthless? I wouldn't take a third for pretty much any player, even for reboards. Not to you. Just I think I get the point. No, they're basically worthless, but a low value dice roll has value. What am I trying to say here? You add up enough pennies, eventually get $1. It's not. It is worthless, but it's not.
Terry McLaurin.
Yeah.
See, the thing is,
don't throw them away, but also
the chances of you getting one of those guys is insanely low. People know this. People know that there are players that we like the upside of in the third round, in which case, never draft with them, but take them so you can move them to other people. Because if you have that deal that's so close to getting done, you could just be like, okay, here's 2/3. And usually that'll help get it done because it's that little kick of value. Yeah. So absolutely, I get it. Yes, in practice, I think they're practically worthless. But in theory, which is what matters in Dynasty, is pretty much all theory. I like having thirds.
I do like your point. You can get random outliers, but that's not really what I mainly value them as. It is just that little side addition. You can add a player worth a third to a trade, and people find it an insult or just a congested trade. Whereas you add just a couple of thirds, and they're like, okay, it's a little extra. It's a little extra. Yeah. And I like them for that reason. And also, if forced just to make a third round pick, they're easy to cut 3 or 4 weeks into the season if you've seen nothing, if they have decent draft capital. And there is upside there. So yeah, they're worthless, but they're definitely not worthless. If that makes sense. I wouldn't. Here's the way I'd say it. I wouldn't consider them the value as someone's offering, but I definitely consider mine to have some value to me. They're worth more than a roster spot. Wait. Yeah, they're like roster spots. Roster spots have value because you need space, and thirds are valuable in that way. If I just want to clear some space on my roster, trade my depth for a third, sure.
Yeah.
A lot of my RBs were ugly. My wide receivers are Judy, Claypool, Pittman, Moore.
Oh, nice.
Corey Davis, Golladay, Bateman. Nice. I think Bateman's my favorite one of those. Which Moore?
He says it next. It's Elijah.
Elijah Moore. I think they're fairly even. I like the other players.
That's a great wide receiver room. Yeah.
They're good, but they're very I want to tear them up. I don't think they're gonna be different.
Oh yeah, no, you don't have like
yeah.
Like that's a good start. That's what I meant.
Yeah,
like for where your team is, that's a great start.
Mm-hmm. Yep, definitely top 24 wide receivers, kind of flourish. I trade them as their value spikes. Like Judy's might spike here recently, where he's getting targets. Maybe he's better than Sutton, when really it's Tim Patrick. Just a secret there for you. And you use that to trade him away for even more. Russ doesn't because he's in love with Jerry Judy.
Because he's really freaking good.
Yeah, he's good.
And because Calvin Ridley doesn't feel like playing football right now. I didn't mean that to sound as flippantly as it did. I'm just tired.
No, I understand. Yep. Anything can happen. That's fair.
Yeah.
Where are you on Elijah Moore versus Bateman? It's not a question I'm getting asked, but it's one that I keep asking myself because I preferred Bateman pre-draft. I loved Elijah Moore, though, and now Moore is a little bit more proven. So 1-to-1, which one are you taking?
They're exactly the same. They were pretty much next to each other in drafts, and I don't think anything has really changed that.
Yeah, but you're on the clock, Russ, and the next person's going to take the next one. So who do you take?
Okay, so if I had to choose, so if that's what we're saying, then I'm still taking Bateman over Moore.
Me too, and it doesn't feel right. But yeah, that's where I think.
Again, there's no right answer because it's the same tier, so it's personal preference, and I like the player Bateman more than the player Moore.
I think Bateman has a little bit more upside as a way I justify it. But Elijah Moore's really good.
Yes, 1000% yes.
Yep, for sure. Just wanted to throw that out there, and I wasn't being crazy. It seems like cheating when you talk about what players in the same tier. Like I like them both the same, but it is really awkward. I have no opinions on rookies yet. Sorry.
I don't know who they are, but I talked to a couple of guys who are Devy guys, and they always keep it super simple for me. Pretty much they say there's going to be like 2 to 4 and then absolutely nothing worthwhile. So if you have those early firsts, wow. Just click on the next one. If you have the early first, use it on a running back, and that's absolutely fine because you'll be able to I know Isaiah Spiller is a name that's probably going to be close to the running back one. If he ends up in Tampa Bay and they don't feel like signing Fournette, you have a stud on your hands.
Good job, Young Wells. Just
right. Good for you.
We're done here. Our podcast or whatever this is has succeeded. We can walk away.
Brees Hall, that's the other name that I was trying to
be real clear, Young Wells. I'm not saying, haha, you got one over on them. I think that's very fair value that in most leagues people would not appreciate because Mixon's going to be keeping a top 12 running back. They got a really productive running back who's going to help them this year. CeeDee Lamb's a great wide receiver who honestly his value can't go anywhere. It won't go anywhere for the next 6 months. And I think he's going to have a great career. I think you both and rarely, I think most people wouldn't value Mixon there. I think that's great for both of you. Congrats, man. Can I play in your league? No, I'm just kidding. that's good trade. Toronto Dave again. Spiller. CJ Spiller?
Isaiah Spiller.
Oh, I'm so old. And Brees Hall, the 22 RBs, I know are regarded pretty well. You know more than me, man.
They're 2 of the top RBs. I couldn't think of the name Brees Hall at the moment, but
I literally don't do any like with you. I occasionally check in with Travis May at Travis May. How's the classes going? And he gives me like an overview of this is a running back or a wide receiver.
I talk to Kane Fasell every once in a while, and he keeps it simple for me.
Kane's another one. It's going to get really complicated this offseason. I can't deal with it right now. Pittman over Moore. Elijah Moore? Due to their QBs.
Yes, that he's going in our conversation before.
Yeah, I don't mind finding like just something to decide, and he's got a better QB. That's fine.
Especially because they're the same tier, so you take what makes you feel better.
Yeah, exactly. You just find something that makes you feel comfortable with it. That's
Speaking of, I think bed's going to make me feel better now.
You do? I don't think so, Russ.
2 hours. There. I waited for the 2-hour mark to say that.
I think you need less sleep. I think that's what. No. Really appreciate everyone. Thanks very much. I had a lot of fun as always. Love doing this every Wednesday at 9:30 with Russ Fisher, who is not going to be able to join us next week.
So, always doing it with Russ, except for next week. He's not going to be here.
Yeah. I will try and find someone else that can not possibly fill in his shoes, obviously, but that also likes to talk Dynasty, and we'll see you again. I guess we're done here. To be honest, it's still the ending to the show because we have failed to find another. What? That corner?
Actually, look over there.